You zip it, Red.
Starting out with some feistiness. I like it. Woo! All right. This is very exciting. We are Bourbon and Blondes here tonight with Jolie and Alan from Spirits of French Lick. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
I am incredibly hungover.
We had a little too much fun creating that playlist last night. So
I literally woke up in my apartment, like the coffee table was covered with like dirty glasses, empty bottles of wine, and like candy wrappers. I was like, what the hell happened?
we ate like
that's how I feel.
a bag of Reese's Pieces and a bag of gummy bears for dinner, and two bottles of champagne and 2 bottles of wine. So here we go.
Hell yeah!
If you're gonna do it, go all out.
Oh, we did. We were standing on my couches dancing, like we were just loving it.
That's amazing.
Whatever.
We should have had the show yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, the
like,
night's still young, so
I could get there again. I don't know. It's anyone's game today.
You're like,
so
we're good.
Funny. Yeah, it's like, I don't know if I am gonna. I had like work meetings and they were all on Zoom and like video chats, and I was just halfway through one of them this afternoon. I was like, I think I might just vomit in front of all of these people. There are like 30 people on Zoom, and I was like, this is not gonna go well.
Better than being in a conference room. So
right, yes.
I think. Like, how do you do that? How do you do that? Like on Zoom, you're like trying to swallow your own vomit, like.
I don't know, and like
I'm good.
There's no like,
just all of a sudden.
There's no like available trash cans where my work is set up at home, so I'm like, this is not gonna be good. Oh well, but I made it. I made it
because you know why? Because you're a professional. That's why.
Yes,
right. You just pretend like. You just pretend like your video feed cuts out and your audio cuts out, and they think you're frozen. You puke, and then you come back.
Right? You just go.
Is that what you were doing when you were just frozen?
It's a very good possibility.
Interesting.
Without a doubt.
Oh my
At least it wasn't a sewage line, which happened to me.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So
I thought it was funny. I wasn't in Elena's apartment when this happened.
Right. Yeah. So it was actually funny. It was me and 3 guys. We were having brunch, and my neighbor Adam was one of them. And we're sitting there, and he looks at me and he goes, "Did you fart?" And I was like, "No." And then we go around the room, and everybody. I know, and everybody's denying it, and I turn around, and it was like, what is that off The Shining, where like the blood comes down the hallway? It was like just sewage coming down the hallway, and I was like, "Oh, this is not good. This is not good." And I run upstairs and throw some towels down.
Everybody out!
Yeah. I was like, yeah, definitely wasn't a fart. It was raw sewage.
Just the entire sewage line from the apartment building coming into your kitchen.
Great
You're
way
like,
to spend brunch. Yeah. Right?
Oh, God.
At least no one won in seconds.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Right? I didn't shit my pants. I shit my apartment. So there you go.
That was so
Tell you what. Yeah, it was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. Yeah.
Apartment life, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just talking on the mashup about how I used to live in an apartment that had like matching burgundy fixtures in the bathroom. It was like burgundy tub, burgundy toilet, pink tile, burgundy sink. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
no.
And our landlord was like, because he paid the utilities and like we paid the gas and the trash or something. I don't remember, but he was like, you know what your highest bill is? And I'm like, it's the water bill. And he's like, how did you know that? Because you have 2 fucking toilets from 1975 in there. That's why. I mean,
they run 24/7.
Yeah, I'm flushing like 25 gallons of water every single time I pee. Change the toilets. You'll be fine. It's not my problem.
Right.
It's your problem.
This is not my responsibility. You chose burgundy toilets from 1910.
Yeah. Or you chose not to update them.
Right.
Put a new toilet in. You'll be fine.
It's like the things you fight with your landlord about. It's just so stupid.
Right? Fuck you, landlord.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, fuck you still.
Fuck you, landlord.
Fuck you and your burgundy bathtub.
Yeah.
Well, the irony of it is that happened. It's the second time that happened to me, and it's like 9:02 and oh yeah, no, that's the second time. The first time, I think I was on my way to Spain the next day, and happened, and I was like, you're gonna have to clean it. Yeah, I was like, you're gonna have to clean. I mean, it's her house. Woman thinks she would clean it. She did such a terrible job when I got back, and she never admitted it was sewage. So I had to like throw everything out. But this time was a lot worse than the first time. And what was funny is she favors my neighbor, like the favorite son, my neighbor Adam. She favors him because he had somebody installing what was it, a mirror, and he busted through the wall, hit a pipe, and the pipe leaked, and the city had to come out. And she offered him a hotel room. He busted the pipe. I got sewage in my basement, and she was like, "Oh, I'll send somebody out tomorrow to clean it. I can't live in here.
Fuck
like, what that. Somebody tomorrow."
Yeah, you're doing it now.
Yeah, I was like, your favorite son got a hotel room.
You should have had Adam text her about this, and it would have been resolved so much quicker.
Your facts, true.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Adam should have called and been like, "Do you know Elena really needs a place to stay tonight?
Can you put her up in a hotel room?"
Yeah, pick it up, Adam. Where's your responsibility for your friends?
I know.
Adam is a little bit more high maintenance, so let's be honest.
One of the reasons I'm glad I actually found something I was halfway decent at, because that was my first job in high school. I worked for one of my dad's friends, and he ran a septic and drain company. Oof. And I fucking hated that job with a passion.
Well, literally, you're dealing with shit.
Dude, but you know what? This dude made so much fucking money off of that job because nobody wants to deal with it, right? So, and he was hilarious, right? He would, and he doesn't own the business anymore. He drank a lot, and he had a lot. He was a lot of fun to be around. He literally pulled up to our house one time, like in the shit truck. He's like, "What are you up to?" And I could tell he was drunk. And he's like, "Oh, not much, just drinking and driving, because nobody expects a drunk in the shit truck, do they?"
So when he was drinking and driving, he would drive the work car because no one's going to pull over a tank of shit.
That's what I was going to say. No cop is going to pull over a fucking shit truck.
And then
amazing.
They would just lay into him all the time too, because he went to school. He went to IU for business accounting is what he went for, and he had some kind of big job lined up. I don't remember what it was. Gets out of college and goes to work taking over his dad's fucking shit pumping company. And everybody be like, "Hey, how's business going?" He'd just be like, "Shit's still rolling downhill."
I feel like you can go so many ways with naming the company too. It would just
how
be
many
fun.
jokes can you have with that?
Yeah,
I don't think there's an end to the things you can say.
We knew somebody who owned a porta potty cleaning business, and he'd be like, "You give me dinner," and he'd be like, "So, just want to let you know what I see most is 1-a-day vitamins." I'm like,
so don't buy them.
We're fucking eating, man. Like, is this how you start conversation? Like, so don't take 1-a-day vitamins because
you can't digest them.
Because you can't digest them, and they just shit them out. And also, like, how closely are you examining that shit pile that you see? You pick out, like, how do you pick out a 1-a-day vitamin versus like something else? You know what I mean?
You still see the label on the vitamin.
Right? Yeah.
I worked for this guy for 4 months, and I never got to where it didn't bother me. Never. It was always fucking disgusting. Always. And people are fucking assholes too, because they destroy the porta cans on purpose because they don't fucking care. God. Oh.
You're triggered right now.
Yeah, I really am. Bad.
Was it the water situation, or is it talking about shit that has you so upset?
I was thinking the same thing.
Already on edge.
I was good until you guys mentioned porta can, and then it just like Vietnam flashbacks. Just fucking disgusting.
Oh, we're triggering poor Alan today.
Right.
That's all right.
Wait,
So-
we can talk about something better and exciting. You guys and Maddie Gladden had a very exciting date today.
Yes.
So
my God. I was so
Yeah.
excited when I found out. I opened up Instagram this afternoon and like in my office, I was like, what?
That is so fun. So the last time we had you guys on, we tasted Maddie Gladden, talked about her story and everything. And today it's the bourbon of the year, right?
Yes.
From Indiana.
Bourbon, yep.
Yes,
Indiana
Indiana
Bourbon.
Bourbon.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
and in Indiana Bourbon Trail, same people. They have this awesome Instagram community, and they are really. And I told him this yesterday. We were talking because I sent him out some stuff, but they always pick up our things and then let us know. But
Mhm.
they are so good at promoting Indiana craft distilleries. And he just this year started adding in, I think, like MGP products.
Okay.
But I don't know if he's going to give any awards to MGP, but he talked about Remus and a few of their single barrels this year, which I thought was kind of cool. But he's really good at visiting Indiana distilleries and picking up their products. And when he sees they have barrel picks out, he'll support those stores. And they started these awards back in 2017.
Wow.
And so, yeah, and they do the tags themselves. His wife owns an Etsy company where they do the punch of the tags. And so they make these fun little medals themselves. And
they're the coolest medals of all the medals that we get, by the way.
I think so too.
Really?
Yeah.
Because they're homemade and they're like punched. So they look like old school. I think they're awesome.
Oh,
They're
okay.
real rustic
Yeah.
looking.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and they're always sharing everything from other Indiana distilleries, and they're really good about sharing the love and
Good.
pushing craft distilleries. And so I was just
She called me all excited about it, and I was trying to play it cool and pretend like I didn't care.
You're
And
like,
I feel
yeah,
like
cool, an award, whatever.
I feel like I might have done too good of a job of it because she went from like super excited to like, what the fuck is wrong with you in like 5 seconds.
yeah. He's like, good, we should have. And I was like,
Well,
Such a good
what?
thing.
What?
Jolie also,
humble.
she had another big day this week too, if you guys didn't notice, and that was National Alan Bishop Day. That was really
we enjoyed
hilarious.
that thoroughly. The
You
photo of
riding
you.
a bear. I was like, oh my God, I don't know who did this, but we owe
It's
them
the
our
best thing
lives.
ever. Yeah.
There were so many memes that didn't even get shared. Like people were sending me memes for next year that I just have like 30 or 40 of them saved for next year.
Oh
that
my gosh.
Midnight on October 19th, I'm going to start blowing up Jolie's phone. It's going to be great.
So how did we land on you riding a bear?
That was
Because
all
somebody
Lenny
created
Eckstein.
it.
I didn't.
Somebody
Lenny
created
Eckstein.
it. No, I said
Lenny-
somebody.
Oh, Lenny did that. Yeah, that was Lenny Eckstein.
Yeah, Lenny Eckstein from Deerhammer Distillery in Colorado made that. But so I get invited to. You guys know Steve Akeley, right? ABV Network. So he asks me last month, like, "Hey, you want to be in a few shows on Friday?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, "Okay, who do you want to be on with?" And I was like, "Oh, like I never get to pick. That's fun."
Yeah.
So I tell him a few people or whatever, we get on, and he's like, so the first one we're doing is for, because they record ahead of time, is for October 20th, and it's National Alan Bishop Day. And I was like, what the fuck? No way.
To
And
be
so then
clear, you called me and told me it was National Alan Bishop Day, and I had the exact same reaction you did. I said, "What the fuck is that about?
Yeah.
And why?"
Yeah. And he goes on, he's like, "I always thought that, they always have like pepperoni pizza day, or you have all these stupid days." And he said, so when he had his own company or whatever, he was going to invent his own day. And I was like, and this is the one you decided on? This was your first fucking pick? And I was like, let me be clear, I am not celebrating this. I do not fucking support it. And they were like, what gifts do you give Alan on Alan Bishop Day? I was like, fuck that. What gifts do you give me on Alan Bishop Day?
For someone who doesn't support it and didn't back it up, she did also say on that show that she loved me. And at the end of the day on Alan
can't
Bishop
prove
Day,
it.
she celebrated my existence. It was fantastic.
So this is unrelated to anything about Alan, except for somebody just decided it was his day.
Yeah. Steve
Yeah,
Akeley. I blame Akeley.
The reason it became a thing is because, and this is just on me, this is my perception. If someone, like, it's just like when I was in high school, like if the teacher actually called on me if I raised my hand, it was because they thought I'd say something stupid and they could make fun of me a little bit, right? So I presume that when you call something National Alan Bishop Day, you're trying to fuck with me. So,
well, and they did.
Right. And that's great because I just turned it around and ate it up and loved it and just went with it. And I don't think that was his intent.
He makes his own fucking profile picture, right? The shocker symbol. And he's like,
that was so terrible. I was like,
the fucking shocker symbol. And he's like, make this your profile picture for the day and tag Jolie whenever you do it.
Solidarity through sarcasm.
No, you didn't. You didn't. Everyone tagged Jolie.
Yeah.
And people did that shit. People changed their profile picture.
Changed their profile picture to this fucking shocker picture. And all day my phone's like, ding, ding, ding. And I open up my Facebook and it's like, so-and-so wants to put this on your timeline. So-and-so wants to put this on your timeline. So-and-so tagged you in a picture. So-and-so tagged you. And I'm getting like, on top of that, texts from our friends. Like, hey, how's it going today? How's Alan Bishop Day going? And I'm like, what the like?
Back off! It's not a day.
So
Yeah,
first
it's
of all,
not a real thing, you guys.
We had a sort of shared experience here, Julie, that you may or may not know. So the very first thing that I saw on the internet in the morning was it's National Alan Bishop Day, and I'm like, oh, I fucking forgot about it, right?
Yeah,
because it was reported a while back.
I didn't. So I forgot about my own day.
Right. I click on it and I'm listening to it and I'm like, all right, so now it's a fucking thing. Like, how can I turn this around and make it into a thing and turn the joke around? And that's when the shocker thing popped in my head, because you mentioned the shocker and me doing the shocker in photos.
I did
on the show. Then the funny part is I do this.
They asked what the symbol would be. They asked, like, they said Christmas has a Christmas tree, Festivus has a pole, you know, like what would be the symbol? And they were like, a pot still. And I'm like, no, the symbol would be the fucking shocker. Because
you chose that?
Alan, well, I'm just being honest. Alan,
that's great.
Every single picture you take with Alan, he fucking flashes the shocker. And Akeley's like, why does he do that, Jolie? I said, because he's a fucking asshole, Steve. I don't know why.
You're not wrong.
Why do you think? I know. I know better than anyone.
I know.
Except your wife.
So then the funny thing that happens is I put this up thinking that like people will laugh at it. It'll be funny. Maybe they'll share the post, not thinking anybody's actually going to like run with this. Right. And then within 30 minutes, there are like 8 people who have changed their profile picture. I'm like, oh, this is fucking fantastic. And then they start dropping memes and I've not heard from Jolie. So the first thing I think is like the minute Jolie sees this, she's going to call me and be like, take it down now.
Get rid of
but
it.
She doesn't call. So I call her and she answers and I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, not much. And I kind of laughed and I'm like,
it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. So let's just, let's keep that. Like, I'm getting ready to leave the house to go to work.
Like, have you looked at the internet yet? She goes, no. Why?
What did you do this time?
Yeah. What did you do?
And I just told her, I go, well, it's fucking glorious. I said, you're going to have to call me when you see it. And she goes, okay. And then at some point in time, I think you figured out it was National Alan Bishop Day, but you didn't look at Facebook first because I called you again because I was like, she's going to call back in 5 minutes. She didn't. So I called her back 15 minutes later. She's driving to work. And I'm like, what are you doing? She goes, listen back to the podcast to see what the fuck I said.
See what regrets I need to have.
Right. And so she gets off the phone. She's like, I'll talk to you when I get to work.
Advice right here.
Yeah.
She jumps back on Facebook before she gets to work and she calls me as she's pulling into the parking lot. And she goes, what the fuck is wrong with you?
You're like, let me count the ways. How long do you have?
Yeah. I called my wife. I was like, if I get 10 people to change their profile picture, I could be a cult leader. It's
Dude,
literally
it was
that
like
simple.
35 people changed their fucking profile picture. Even today, people were tagging me. McNew tagged me and she was like, sorry, Jolie. And I was like, apology not accepted.
I don't want your apologies.
I don't want your apologies. I want you to stop talking about this shit.
I just imagine I imagine the cult being like kind of like how they did in like Waco. It's like this like in the middle of nowhere. It's like a giant shocker symbol like on top of the
just on top of the building.
Yes. Just
like
in red and black
Rushmore.
and as lewd as it can possibly be, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. And then like today, Bill Hockett posted one and Steve Porter posted one. Steve posted one about his cat knowing that Alan Bishop Day should be more than a one-day holiday. And then Bill Hockett posted, I said next year for Alan Bishop Day, you have to bring the pot still into your living room, decorate it, and then you leave out absinthe and Oreos. So Bill Hockett posted a picture of absinthe and Oreos first thing this morning that he was still celebrating National Alan Bishop Day. Now, the best part of people sharing the shocker is that I presume that at least 95% of those people know what the shocker is. But there were
There's always people who don't.
That did not know at all. And I should feel bad because I'm very good friends with them and I love them very dearly.
So you know who they are.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And they wound up taking it down and they were like, I didn't know. And it's like, why are you sharing things you don't know? Like, it's like a news story, right? Don't share unverified information.
I feel like that is the single best troll I've ever pulled on anyone.
You're not wrong. I think that's pretty great.
Right?
I saw this thing from like text from last night, and I guess some kids told their parents WAP, that song with Cardi B, meant wings and pizza. So they said we invited our friends over for WAP night. I thought it was wings and pizza. That's some shit my mom would do.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Amazing. Oh my god.
So many conversations at the distillery have revolved around this one subject.
Yeah.
Of WAP.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, because it's like my favorite song of 2020. And I sing it as often as possible. And Alan doesn't have a problem with the song. He says macaroni in a pot conjures up gross images for him. And I'm like, it's the sound. He's like, I know what it is. It's just what it makes me think of.
Yeah.
We're adding that to the playlist now.
Yeah, right? Oh, I should have put it in my playlist.
I wrote new lyrics and they're better than the original. Jolie knows them.
Yeah. Yeah.
What? Should I ask what they are?
I feel like we need to know.
Right. Yeah. We could talk about it later.
Yes.
Okay. When we're not live in front of all of our friends and family.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I will say this, Jolie.
Out of his still room and like just scream it out loud.
I will say this, Jolie. I think it's funny that we've talked about the shocker, but we won't go into the alternate lyrics of WAP.
Right.
Liz said
there's a level of decorum.
It needs to be a whole thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's a whole thing. So,
Liz said it stands for wet ass pavement.
That's right. Yeah.
It is fall.
Well,
yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Happy fall.
Happy fall. All right.
whatever. That's so fun. This whole thing is just so hilarious.
I know. I love it.
Oh my god, you guys. It's too fucking much sometimes. I'm telling you.
This week.
October 20th, International Alan Bishop Day.
Oh shit.
International.
How do you get from national to inter? How do you what do we need to do to make?
He's just gonna get his friends in New Zealand to celebrate it, and then all of a sudden it's International Alan Bishop Day. I already fucking know how you're gonna go about this. I already know.
I can't.
But that means it lasts longer than 24 hours, right?
Yes, it needs to be a 3-day thing, like
so 3 days.
Yeah, at least 3 days. So the other thing I want to point out on this public forum while we're on this subject, now that I'm politicking, is that if you, as my friends listening to this, could please go to Wikipedia and go to the National Days thing, whatever it is, wherever people fucking vote for National Pizza Day and all that stuff, and put up National Alan Bishop Day is October 20th, and then write a blurb about National Alan Bishop Day. We can make this thing happen in a big way. Look at Jolie. She's almost crying. Almost.
She's got like her like straight mouth, like tight lips. Like
Right?
this is
Yes.
gonna kill me.
It already did about fucking kill me. My phone exploded. I had so many. Thank God I have that. I have to approve anybody who wants to put something on my timeline.
Yeah.
I did that when I became
Good
when I
call.
started doing this job. Yeah, people started putting random fucking shit on my timeline that I didn't know who they were. So I
Nice.
made it so that I had to approve it, and it was literally like hide, 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 because it was basically like so and so changed their profile picture, so and so changed their profile picture, and I'm like this. My mom doesn't need to fucking see that shit.
No. Mm-mm.
This is the equivalent of putting your name and phone number on a bathroom stall at a bowling
Yeah.
alley.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
Which
Yeah.
Bowling
I've
alley?
also
What
done.
are you doing with your life?
That's a very long list. We do not have an hour for that.
I feel like I know how to cement this deal, though, Jolie. I feel like October 20th of next year, we release that single barrel proof apple brandy.
And we make it National Alan Bishop Day.
I'm just saying it gets released on National Alan Bishop Day. Whatever association people want to make between the two being related is on them. But yes.
Interesting.
What does your shirt say, Jolie?
Whiskey makes me awesome.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I have a tank that says "Whiskey made me do it," and I usually
That's
wear
nice.
it when I'm hungover.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. We had these T-shirts made for the gift shop, and we put them out, and they sold out in like so we had to reorder them, and then they sold out again over a
Oh my
weekend,
gosh.
and then we're working on our third
That's
run
awesome.
through. It was
I
like the
wasn't-
first time. I think it was all of the employees.
yes.
All the
You guys
employees
didn't give
bought it.
them
I
t-shirts?
walked in and like every server, every cashier, the busser, everyone had that shirt on. I was like, this is fucking amazing.
I wasn't fast enough on it, Jolie, but the next time you want to get somebody on with that shirt, you just walk up to them and be like, no, whiskey makes you fucking tolerable. There's a difference.
I'm going to say that's Elisa,
I'm gonna have to start giving out the shirt and saying it.
Yeah.
right?
Right.
I'll just slip him a Post-it note. That'd be
Yeah.
better. Just quietly be like, I just want to let you know.
Right.
Oh my god,
Not
that's
really,
so
though.
funny. Not really.
Not really though.
It's like the most polite way to troll somebody and
Yeah,
let them know.
that's
they
what the Post-it note will say. Not really though. THO. Not really though. They'll be like, what are you talking about? You know.
Yeah, you would know if you knew.
You know what
I'm
I'm
also-
talking about.
I'm also seriously looking forward to January 1st, 2020, when Jolie puts up her new calendar in her office, because I'm going to go to October and I'm going to circle the 20th. And every morning before she gets to work, I'm going to mark off a day. Like she's counting it down.
You
You're gonna
should
be
just number each day, like
Yes.
backwards from the 20th of October, so that like on January 1st, it's like 272 days. Or
You guys
however
are
long.
giving him an idea. Like for Christmas, I'm going to get that calendar, and it will already be
Have it
pre-numbered,
marked.
Oh my
and
god!
pre-counted down.
It should be
Nope.
electronic, so it talks to her
Right.
I will-
randomly through the day. Hey, guess what? There's this many days until National Alan Bishop Day.
It's like a
What I
it's like a
will do is I
vacation
will do it-
countdown.
I will do it to her own calendar, but here's the beauty of it is that by the 1st of January, Jolie will have forgotten this conversation.
Yep.
And so she'll flip her calendar to January and put it up, and she won't
I
think
will
to
have
look at October.
blocked it out. I will not have forgotten. I will have
You just rip
blocked it
October out of the calendar is what you'll do. You're like, there's no
Fucking-
fucking October.
Yeah, your birthday's in October. Not this year.
Nope.
Right.
I mean, realistically, after the year 2020, why are we even buying planners and calendars anymore?
I
like,
totally
agree.
it's
Yeah.
like,
It's true.
We do not need
Well,
to anticipate
yeah.
any date ever
Yeah.
again.
yeah.
We were supposed, the winery celebrates their 25th year in existence this year. And
Oh,
the
cool.
distillery
Wow.
celebrated their 4-year, right? And we had big fucking parties planned and the whole thing. And we just called
Yeah.
a mulligan on all of 2020. We're pretending as if it doesn't exist. And next year we're going to have those parties.
Yep.
So it'll be 26th anniversary and 5-year anniversary. But nope, that's not how it's going to go.
My
It's gonna be
normal
a
like
hell of a party too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
my normal
Yeah.
like
It's gonna be
everyday
awesome.
get out of the car and go to work routine, like, and I stretch, and then like I'd usually say like life is hard and the struggle is real. This year, about halfway through, I added life is hard, the struggle is real, and it gets marginally worse daily.
Yeah. Facts. Yeah.
It like hurts because it's true.
Yeah.
Right.
You're like, man, you're such a pessimist. No,
No.
that just really is how it is. And when
I
all
just
of America agrees with you.
Yeah, like the whole world is ready to throw this year away, basically.
Yeah, 100%.
But for this party next year, you guys should hire people to. Oh, Lena, you're volunteering for something.
Yeah,
I don't
she's like,
even know
"Hire
what
me."
it is.
I was like,
It's me.
whatever it is, I'm there.
I'm there.
Clown, comedian, server, whatever.
Okay, well, calm down for a second, please.
Yeah, okay. Sorry.
You should hire people to dress up as like Maddie Gladden and Lee Sinclair.
That was actually a plan.
Yep.
We
have
have the
Mind
person.
reader.
Yeah. We had it all planned out. We had the food worked out. We had the bands. We had for each they had their own separate thing going on. We had giveaways and radio stations, and we had the whole kit and caboodle. It was literally going to be the best party ever, and then nothing.
We literally
Fucking
have
COVID.
a person to play all the characters that we'll come out with over the next year. So
Ooh, how many
Um,
are there?
there are two more characters this next year that we know of. There may be yet more.
Ooh.
We'll see. So
Okay.
possibly 3. So
All right. Well, we were doing so for those of you watching and listening, whatever, we decided that when we were talking about Lee Sinclair Bottled and Bond today, we were gonna drink a little and come up with playlists that go along with the bourbon. And last night while we were drinking, I was Googling Lee Sinclair and I was like, this guy had kind of like a wild ride. It felt like his life and his hotel experiences are what we're going through right now in 2020.
Yeah, right?
yes,
Yeah.
very similar.
That's a good point.
Yeah. But let's do the tasting. Let's talk about the bourbon, then we can get to the playlist. Yeah.
It's good.
Sounds good to
Let's
me.
talk about our playlists. I'm just kidding.
It's good. The end. So
Hey,
now
I'll
you-
buy some and
delicious.
drink it and
Moving
enjoy
on.
it, and then listen to our music.
Yes.
Hmm.
actually rolled over hungover this morning, and I like started playing the playlist the first
you?
thing I did when I woke up.
It's awesome.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
That's
Nice.
amazing. So I still have some Maddie Gladden left. So we had some of this, and then we kind of bumped the two up against each other. And I think I like Lee Sinclair's a little bit better.
Same.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's been fun to play with that and see how that plays out with people too,
Mhm.
because and a lot of times
Mhm.
there are people that I think are going to go for Maddie that end up going for Lee, and it surprises
Yeah.
me.
Really?
And vice versa.
Yeah.
And vice
Mhm.
versa. Like I'll think somebody be like they're like a big rye drinker, and I'm like, oh, this person's gonna dig Maddie, and then they're like, I really like the Sinclair, and I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, that's a surprise. I love it.
And this is interesting too, because it's different having the 4 grain and that you guys can go into it. So having oats and the caramel malt, and I really feel like I can taste the caramel in there, and it's delicious.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
so
definitely a
strong.
caramel bomb. It has a lot of like almost to me almost like snickerdoodle cookie sort of flavors to it.
Mhm.
But this was
Yeah.
yeah, this was that mash bill was actually the first mash bill that I ever came up with on my own when I was 15.
Really?
with my-
Really? That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was so when I grew up in a family of distillers, obviously mostly illicit, some legal though. And so I was always around stills, like even when I was like 4 years old, I remember being around them growing up on a tobacco farm that also made moonshine. It was just another thing that we did. It would like we use it to pay property taxes or to pay for Christmas, right? So there was no romantic story to any of it whatsoever. So when I was about 15, I kind of got tangentially interested because of obvious being underage reasons. I'm not condoning underage drinking.
We don't condone that either. Just
Right.
Right.
I either had the greatest parents in the world or the worst parents in the world, depending on how you want to look at it. But they were very much of the mind that like you're going to figure out things in life. If you're going to figure them out, better that you do it under our thumb and here than you do it somewhere else and get in trouble.
Right.
So my dad and my grandpa basically helped me throw together a little 10-gallon pot still out of an old, it was actually a stainless steel antique coffee dispenser from Fort Knox, Kentucky. And they gave me 2 rules. And the 2 rules were don't blow your ass up in the backyard and bring us something when it's worth drinking. So, but they refused to.
Those rules are so like, you know what I just love it how they're like, don't bring a shit and don't fuck yourself up.
Right.
Well, you got to remember that and you know my dad, you got to remember that my dad, when I was a kid, would jokingly say shit to me like, why don't you go play in the street somewhere?
Right.
Right?
He says that to you now.
You'll find traffic.
Yes.
He says that now. He's, get off my back. I hope you get hit by a car.
He does. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
So they refuse
to. It's fantastic.
Old Dale Bishop.
He's very honest for sure. They refuse to tell me how to do anything though. Now I knew all the stuff that they knew because I grew up around it, right? So the oats kind of came out of the fact that I never saw them use them before. And I didn't know anything about distilling history at the time. And then after I did, after I got a little more into this whole thing, I started to realize that oats were very common in bourbon prior to industrialization. So the oats were really just kind of a lark at the time, but it worked. And back then it was not, it wouldn't have been a bourbon, and it wasn't a cooked grain whiskey. It was what's called a sugar shine. So you just use what's called a cold mash. So you put your grain in the water, you don't cook it or anything, and then you add sugar to it to get your alcohol, and you're really just trying to extract the flavor from the grain as much as anything. But that recipe's followed me throughout my career. I did make 2 barrels of that mash bill when I was at my previous distillery. I don't know what the hell they ever did with them. The last that I knew before I left, they were
set them on fire.
No, they were on their way well to empty by the time I left because the employees all knew where they were at. So they were just just hitting them hard. And then when I came to Spirits of French Lick, I knew that I wanted that to be the first bourbon out the door and the first one that got the bottled and bond. And I knew I wanted to name it after somebody local. So obviously Sinclair was originally from Indiana, from Greene County, Indiana, I believe, moved to Washington County very early on, was the son of a prominent textile mill owner, and started to take over his father's business, built his own mill in Salem, Indiana, which was massive. And actually it was standing when I was a kid. I was just thinking about that the other day. They only tore it down maybe 10, 15 years ago, something like that.
Dang.
But he sort of built a big, huge name for himself in the business. And so the Sinclairs were actually descendants of the Scottish Sinclairs. And so they are descendants of Freemasons and the Knights of Pythias and the Rosicrucians. And so Sinclair imbued everything that he did with this very deep, intense symbology that only people who were kind of initiated would understand. But in the late 1800s, he decided that French Lick would be an excellent place to kind of put on the map as a resort town, because back then spa towns were a big deal. And due to our unique groundwater in French Lick, West Baden, the Springs Valley area, which is sulfur and mineral forward, it was an excellent idea. He moved in via the New Albany and Salem Railroad, what would later become known as the Monon route, and bought an old hotel that was built in the 1850s, which is now where the West Baden Dome stands at. A few years after he bought it, it burned down. Now, Sinclair was interesting because he loved his daughter, passionately loved her, and he would have done anything for her. He was going to get out of the business. He thought it was a giant loss. And she talked him into staying in the business. And he thought, well, if I'm going to stay in here, I'm going to, make this the world's first quote unquote fireproof hotel, which is how he basically marketed the hotel. And I want a huge dome on top of it, huge freestanding dome. He went to every engineer he could find, and all the engineers said, oh, it can't be done. And he finally found a 20-something-year-old who was like, yep, I can do it. The guy had no experience whatsoever, but he pulled it off. It was the world's largest freestanding dome for nearly 70 years till the Superdome was built.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He called it the Carlsbad of America. He put in a gaming room, what we would now know as a casino. It was the first casino that was in town. Of course, now we're a casino town again. But that one casino led to eventually 9 hotels and casinos in town. So his legacy was deep. But for us, it was cool because he lived in Washington County, traveled to Orange County to do business. I live in Washington County. I traveled to Orange County to do business. We're right across from the Dome and the hotel. We're on Sinclair Street. We're Spirits of French Lick. So it's not just the spirits in the bottle, but the spirits of the place. And so it made sense for us to do that as a tribute to him and to put his name out there because he was very prominent. Not only all the things I just mentioned, but he also was at one point in time the president of both the New Albany and the Salem state banks. He was also in the Indiana legislature. So he was a very prominent Hoosier that more should be known about. Real quick on the spirit side of it, he does have bottle number 1 of the 2-year-old and bottle number 1 of the bottled and bond in his mausoleum since we're coming up on Halloween.
Nice. You put that stuff in there?
Yeah. Well, so he's buried at Crown Hill Cemetery, but he has kind of his own section of the cemetery, and it's actually, if you look at the plat map, it's actually not even part of the cemetery. It's his own thing. So he's originally he was buried down at Cave Hill Cemetery in Louisville. They disinterred him when they got his mausoleum built and moved him into this beautiful Italian marble mausoleum. But there was money left, a lot of money to take care of this place, and nobody really knows exactly what happened to the money. I've not been able to track that down yet. There are no modern descendants left whatsoever. So when I tried to find the key to this place, I went to the groundskeeper, and he's like, I have no idea. I've never seen it. He gave me the name of the old groundskeeper, who at the time was in the nursing home. I believe he's since passed, and he had dementia. And so I went and spent some time with him and spent about 4 hours. And of course, he was kind of in and out of lucidity, however you want to say that. But when I got ready to get up and leave, he had very clearly paid attention to what I was saying, because he goes, you know what? I think I've got that key in my pocket. And he reached in his pocket and he handed me the key. So
he still had the key?
Yeah. Yeah. He
Holy
still had
crap.
it. So
That's great. How many keys did he have in his pocket? Oh my God.
Right, on his key ring.
Right.
That's this mausoleum key and this mausoleum key.
The keys to the whole city.
I sometimes think this, and I think this is true, and this is just a fun aside, but like my grandfather had quote unquote dementia, and let me tell you the truth. Maybe he did, and maybe he didn't. Maybe he just got tired of people shit and he turned off. You know what I mean? And when he wanted to turn back on, he turned back on. So
well,
maybe right.
Yeah. I experienced with my grandparents, it's more like the recent stuff than the past stuff. I don't know. Like the past stuff, they seem pretty good, you know, especially even the further back it goes.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. But nonetheless, we did that because there are a ton of ghost stories about Sinclair. If you talk to some of the employees over at the Dome, especially the ones that work in the service side of things, they will talk about walking through a door from the kitchen out into the public area. And somebody will hold the door for them, and they don't think anything of it at the time because they're in a hurry. And then, you know, later on, they look back on it like, man, dressed in a nice suit, you know, little beard going on, balding on top. Holy shit, Lee Sinclair held the door for me. Or
that's so real.
Yeah.
Like this guy who died a very significant amount of time ago held a door open for you.
Right. Or up at the cemetery. So Sinclair's first wife died in the 1870s, and she died of cholera. And so she's buried in sort of this unmarked section where there are a lot of cholera victims, because when cholera would hit, it would go work through the community so fast, you didn't really have time for proper burial. So a lot of times they ended up in mass graves. Maybe they got documented, maybe they didn't. She was documented at one point in time. She no longer has a stone that I know of. But when he died, he left very explicit instructions. That mausoleum can hold 4 bodies. So himself, his daughter, his first wife, and his second wife. His second wife was supposed to move the first wife into the mausoleum, and she never did.
Well, would you?
I was like, I kind of don't want to spend eternity next to somebody's ex-wife,
right?
You know?
So interestingly enough.
Yeah, right.
Interestingly enough,
she's like, I don't think so.
There's a little contention there, because it's whether or not, I mean, obviously he loved his first wife and she died, and it was out of his control, and I'm sure the second wife knew that. So there's some conjecture about whether or not maybe it could have been on purpose, or it may very well have been that she was not allowed to move that body because the wife died of cholera. And cholera persists in the ground for literally hundreds of years. So
really?
Yeah. So you don't want to get into that whole mess.
I wonder if that's how COVID will be.
I hope not.
Right?
Yeah.
But
no joke.
The long and short of that is that the caretakers of the cemetery over the years have talked about seeing Mr. Sinclair walking the old part of the cemetery looking for his wife's grave. So I don't want I don't want Sinclair standing at the foot of my grave and being like, "Where the fuck's my bottle at?" So
you got 2, so just don't even come at me.
Yeah.
Right.
Stand down, bro.
So that one's done the same. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to see it's going to be a hell of a trip when you go visit his grave again and it's half drank.
Right. Oh my God.
You want to know something?
There's a bunch of fucking wasps.
Yeah.
We went to, I don't remember. I was like, because we were filming there, and there was like somebody had hung like a July 4th wreath on there, and it needed to be kind of updated. So I was like, I'm going to take this off. And then it was like, zzz, and I was like, fuck that. I ran ran so fast, and we had been drinking because we were at Maddie Gladden's grave, toasting Maddie Gladden. So I'm like drunk and running through the cemetery away from wasps.
Someone probably saw you like, she saw a ghost.
Right.
Let's hope our friend Bo, who was doing all our filming, didn't get that on film.
Oh my god,
I
I
hope
hope
he
they
did.
did.
Good highlight reel.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's one of the interesting things too, and I think I mentioned it last time I was on here. Maddie was actually a housekeeper for Lee when she was a teenager, and she's buried not maybe 400 foot from where Lee's at. So
far.
they're in the same cemetery. So
interesting. I wonder if their ghosts come out at the same time and have a good time.
They chill.
Cheers each other.
They share alcohol now.
Yes.
They drink together.
Right. They trade back and forth.
Yeah.
Send each other sample bottles. Hey, give me some of yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one's done same kind of protocol as everything we do. Double pot distilled, 85-degree fermentation, 4 days or so. Basically 60 corn, 17 wheat, 13 oats, 10% caramel malt. We switched out the distiller's malt for the caramel malt because it's got so much more flavor to it, whereas distiller's malt doesn't have a whole lot going on. Double pot distilled, no chill filtration. We do distill this a little cleaner than we do, quote unquote, something like Maddie Gladden. So we're aiming for a more fruity style distillate from this particular whiskey than we are with Maddie Gladden, where we want something that's very heavy bodied and very robust. So this goes in number 2 charred oak barrels, 4 years old, obviously bottled in bonds. The only filtration this goes through the same as Maddie Gladden. We literally use a very, very soft felt filter. So the only thing we're trying to do is pull the charcoal out of it. I don't want to pull anything else out of it whatsoever, because I want it to taste as much like what it did coming out of the barrel to you as it did to me whenever I tasted it out of the barrel. So to me, I love the color of it. The color actually still surprises me to this day, especially if you hold it up to kind of the light. You can see it has sort of like a red orange, almost like stained glass sort of thing going on for it, which I absolutely love. And it has pretty nice legs on it too if you swirl it in the glass. So on the nose, obviously you're going to get that caramel from the caramel malt. You're going to get some honey. I get some nutmeg, but all those sort of elements are kind of working together. They're kind of building like a flavor bridge. And then once you get past that, I always pull a little fennel out of it and a little cardamom and maybe even a little bit of black tea out of it. So it's certainly a different flavor profile for a bourbon than what most people are used to. And probably in a lot of ways has more in common with like lowland or highland style, like fruity scotch without the peat element.
I didn't even put that together.
Yeah, like very kind of similar in some ways to like a Cardew or like a Glengoyne, something of that nature. You'll notice, and Jolie loves this. It has a creamy mouthfeel. Go ahead, Jolie, and laugh.
I'm not gonna lie. That's an industry term. That's an industry term. Creamy mouthfeel.
Look, it's still somewhat inappropriate.
Creamy mouthfeel.
Love that. Nothing I love better than a creamy mouthfeel.
That's going to be my addition to next year's National Alan Bishop Day. Is I'm going to be all about the creamy mouthfeel.
The creamy mouthfeel.
Yes.
I don't know how yet, but that's going to be my contribution.
But that's going to be it.
Abby, we were making hats and shirts. I think creamy mouthfeel needs to be on them now. We got to,
National Creamy Mouthfeel Day.
While we're at it, I'm just saying I'm a fat kid and I love Cadbury cream eggs. So if the Cadbury company is listening, there's no better time than now to invest in Spirits of French Lick and make Cadbury cream bears with Spirits of French Lick Lee Sinclair bourbon.
That sounds amazing.
I would eat that. Yeah, I'm not big on the cream egg whatever situation, but if it's got bourbon in it, I'm there.
Can we make that like an Aldi's box? What do you call those advent calendars? And it's just different, the different whiskey flavors inside like a Cadbury egg.
Yes.
Coming up with ideas here.
We need to enlist Crown Candy in town and be like, you guys make chocolate, we will give you bourbon. Make us an advent calendar.
Yeah. I'm all about the advent calendar.
It's just
especially if it counts down National Alan
not
Bishop
count
Day.
down
to Christmas, but to Alan Bishop Day.
Oh my God,
it's we could make September advent calendar.
We could make a 2021 advent calendar in the last
it comes
days.
Out September 20th.
I'm just saying. I mean, while we're in the habit of making up holidays, we might as well make National Alan Bishop Day actually the last day of the year. I'm good with that. Just New Year's and everything, just wrap it into one.
How did we settle on October 20th? There was no
That's just the day
margarita
it aired.
day? Okay.
Fucking
All right. I was like, there's no margarita day, no taco day. We just went straight into Alan Bishop Day. So
Yeah,
was
that was their first choice.
It was National Statistic Day as well. So
that's fun.
That's super boring. No one
which
likes
Jolie
statistics.
missed the opportunity there. She could have shared a meme that said 99% of Alan Bishop's statistics are bullshit.
I was not participating.
In the whole day, just canceled.
At all. Right. At the very last day, I posted it, or it was like 10 minutes before I went to bed. I was like, fine. And I posted a picture of him and he's pointing the shocker, and I was like, there. Fucking happy National Alan Bishop Day.
So I think what you can do is you can turn this around to benefit yourself, Jolie, because you were essentially the creator.
No, I was not. No,
but listen.
It was Steve Akeley.
So
Steve
he
Akeley
came up
created
with
it.
Yeah. So Steve Akeley created it, but you added like the content essentially to the day with the shocker and talking about it on the podcast and all of that. So you should just say Alan Bishop Day wouldn't exist without me being involved.
The Alan and Jolie Day.
I'm happy to be just completely hands off 100% and not have any of that track back.
I do also tell Jolie, though, quite often that I don't exist. I'm just a figment of her imagination.
Yeah.
None of this shit's actually happening.
Like, you're just fucking talking to yourself right now.
Right.
If it Nightmare and Matrix combined together, it was like
a lot of times at work I feel that way. So it might not be that far off.
If that is what I create as my imaginary fucking Harvey Rabbit, like that's a fucking problem. There's a
you can do better. Yeah.
That's a little, I mean, right? I could at least it could be a WAP female. Like,
listen,
I mean,
I'm just saying that.
Listen,
I am everything that you would be if you had a penis, and then you're everything that I would be if I had a vagina. So it works out perfect.
Have you, Jolie? Have you seen the Reface app at all?
The Reface app?
Yeah, no. I'm gonna put you on the Reface app, and I'm gonna put your face
Make her
on
the bear.
WAP video. No, I was gonna say bigger in the WAP video.
Do it.
Alex's favorite thing is to watch like suburban house moms train that dance, and they like fall on their ass. And I'm like, see, I know better. Like, I used to be able to do all of those things, and now when I drop it like it's hot, I need like a fucking help up.
Yeah,
I can't. I know my limitations.
Elena and I went through that last night dancing. We were like, I can't get that low anymore.
I was like, the post-COVID legs. I haven't been to the club in
definitely
like
drop it down, and then I'm like,
knocking back up. Yeah.
Or you gotta like put your hand on your hand on your knee and like
get my life alert.
I'm gonna say this real quick, and then I'm gonna go back to the tasting notes. But this is why I watch those videos, because there's one place in that song in particular, in that dance, that fucks these women. And it's not all the weird like twerking ass shit.
It's where they roll over.
It's where they roll over, and but they always make the same mistake. Every one of them makes the same mistake. They try to sing it while they're dancing. They run out of breath, and they don't get enough momentum when they go to roll, and they look like fucking turtles. They get stuck. They can't finish the thing.
Right? That's why everyone, people who don't like Madonna, I'm like, you try fucking dancing like that and singing at the same time. Like, sorry, did anyone see J-Lo? I mean,
yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Well, they criticize them. They criticize them for like doing, what do you call it, when they're mouthing the words. And I was like, have you tried to twerk on stage? Yeah. And then what did she do during the Super Bowl show? Like she like came down on a pole, and I was like, I can't even walk
to the mailbox and climb the stairs at the same time. So like, I can't do that.
She didn't just come down on a pole. She came down on a pole in her 40s.
Yes, right.
Which I feel like should be noted. Like, it's not just
like while twirling.
It's not, yeah. Oh no, sorry, Alan.
I'm proud of her.
We'll go back to your. We'll go back to your.
I'm proud of J-Lo.
You're fine.
Cheers to J-Lo.
Yeah. I definitely want to hear
Lisa Claire.
Jolie's playlist for sure, because I'm curious about what hers is now. So, because I feel like there's going to be.
I had thought about that. I took it very seriously after our talk last night, because I told you guys before this, like, I was stressing out last night. I'm like, I'm not good at this. I don't think about music that way. Like, I was thinking, I told my husband, I was like, if I could list colors, like I could, like get the 100-pack of Crayola and be like, okay, this is the first sip, and then do it like in color order. I would be super good at that. Super visual. I could do that. So
interestingly enough, that's actually how I do mine, Julie. The songs to me are colors. So it's not that different. Yes.
Because I feel like I could have done that. In colors, I feel like that would have been so much easier for me, because I'm so visual like that. And so then Alan said, like, it doesn't have to be, like you sit and you sip this and it automatically translates into a song. He's like, just think about, like, your life in the bourbon industry, or, all of that. So that made it a lot easier. I felt like, so I did it today. I did it at work, actually.
Nice.
So yeah, I was pretty excited about it, but
you should be.
I'm going to plow through the tasting notes real quick. Caramel, vanilla on entry, followed by apple, mint, graham cracker, and ginger note. Cardamom is not to be missed. That is the bullshit I wrote in my tasting notes. Also, finish, slight French walnut, resolving the sweet, fruity, almost ground cherry, and white pepper.
I agree with all of that, except I feel like there's more walnut for me than slight.
And I love the cardamom. I'm here for it. It's like one of my favorite spices.
Yes. Yeah. The one that I feel like I missed in that tasting note is on the finish. I always with the cardamom and the walnut, I always get like almost like a mace sort of characteristic as well, like the little mace pieces that you get, to where it's a little peppery, but it mixes with.
I don't know what that is.
It's very similar to nutmeg. It's actually the seed pod of the nutmeg, but it's a little.
Oh, okay.
It's almost a little more intense than nutmeg.
Okay.
You would appreciate. When I was in Cambodia, I did a pepper tasting, and they had us taste. So it's Kampot, Cambodia. There's like only 2 places in the world that this particular pepper's made, and at first I was like, oh, this is just a tourist thing. Like, I like pushed it aside, but actually it was amazing. Like, they you get to do a tour, and so to understand like the difference between why a pepper is a different color because of how long they keep it on the vine or whatever it is. On the vine. And on the vine. And then it was a very I think it was all organic. So they did their own they use like bat poop and something else to do as a fertilizer. And then in order to get the insects, instead of like, spraying the plants, they do chili peppers, I think, on like the rim of it was so fascinating.
Awesome.
But we tried like so when we come to see you guys eventually, we're gonna I have a bunch of pepper. I'll have to bring it. It's so awesome. Yes. I have like six different flavors of white and black and all that. It's amazing.
The botanical stuff is what I love, and hopefully by the time you two come by to see us too, the other thing that I'm working on now, and I haven't even told Jolie this yet, but I'm working on taking all the botanicals that we use and distilling each one of them so that there will be a library of botanicals that people can actually taste through and see what they're like.
So, yeah, that'd be awesome.
I love that.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Do we lose?
I know. Did we lose Abby?
I think we lost Abby. I saw she had a frozen face for a second, so she's probably logging back in here. But
probably listening to WAP and getting ready for that playlist.
All of a sudden, she like all of our faces go out green, and she's just dancing on the floor.
She's like it by herself.
Can I do the rollover thing?
Like, she's a turtle. What the
fuck
happened?
That's fucking great. I got to know though. I want to know what your playlist is, Jolie. I have to know what your
We have to do Bourbon and Blonde's playlist first.
Yes, for sure. And the only reason I said that I had to know what yours was is because I saw theirs earlier that they sent. But I'm very curious about yours too.
Yeah. I think you'll like it. Because I tried to make it meaningful. I enjoyed it while I was doing it.
Good. Good.
Yeah, I had fun with it. Last night I didn't do it last night because I was stressing out about it. And then after talking to you, I was like, okay, I had to kind of flip the script a little bit to flip how I was thinking about it in my mind.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Well, we will start without, I guess, Abby, how do you want to do it? Like real quick. So we'll give you a background. We were about 2 bottles of wine in and,
Beautiful.
a half a bag of
I
chocolate.
fucking love it.
And we were like,
We're there.
I was like, oh no, this is a fake throw up. Everyone mute Abby.
Oh, I'm like sweating. My internet just cut out and I was like frozen. So I looked on Facebook and it was like the most unattractive frozen face in the feed. And I'm just like, motherfucker.
It's always like mouth open, like
Always.
like,
always.
it's just, well, we got you
always
back.
with like my double chin, like super prominent, like
yeah.
Yeah,
I like
that's
scratch my
fine.
nose and it looks like I'm picking it. And I'm
Yeah,
just like,
yeah,
great.
yeah, super.
I just wake up every morning and look in the mirror. I don't even have to be hung over. I'm like, well, this is what you're fucking dealing with now. This is
Oh
what
my
you
God.
got.
At a certain point in quarantine, to that point, Alan, I looked at my face in the mirror and I was like, you again? Like,
Fucking asshole.
I was like, you're back at it again. Like, I'm fucking tired of waking up in the morning, looking in the mirror, and looking at your face.
Right?
So,
Right? I remember like putting on makeup for the first time in like 6 weeks and being like, oh, God, you don't look like you're half dead. Like that's what, because like you don't realize like, bags or whatever, like cover all that shit up every day, so you're so used to seeing yourself with makeup. And then it's how quickly when society breaks down, you're like, fuck you, Maybelline. Like, I'm not dealing with your shit today.
Right.
Don't you love when you go into work and you're like, I'm going to do a makeup free Friday. Like, I don't feel like wearing makeup. And somebody's like, oh, Elena, you look really tired today. I was like, yeah, Susan, this is my fucking face. Like, it's tired all the time. Like,
that was me today. That was me today. I got on the Zoom call with work with like 30 people. In my eyes, like I hadn't quite taken care of the puffiness from the hangover yet. And I literally looked at myself in the Zoom. I was like, oh shit. And I literally was like, my eyes were like closed. And I was like, this is not good. And someone goes, Abby, are you okay? And I was like, yep. This is just how I look today. You're welcome. Have fun.
I don't do makeup-free days. If I am makeup-free, like if I get online, I take a picture, I'm like, fresh face Friday. Like I have fucking eyebrows. I have
better believe it.
I have like base on. I've got a little bit of, I just don't have all 18 steps. Like I just have like steps 1 through 4.
Don't you love that when I don't put on eyebrows because my hair is like so blonde on my face? It literally looks like I don't have eyebrows. And I'm like, I look scary. This is like what people post as scary pictures.
I'm always like, fuckers would not recognize me without eyebrows. I'm telling you. Like I could not do my hair, not do anything, or even if I did my whole face and just didn't do eyebrows, people would be like, is that you? Like what?
What's going on?
Are you albino? Partly, yes.
Is the only and I gotta tell the 3 of you because I think you'll appreciate this and I think you'll laugh, but as the only cisgendered male on the show right now. So you guys get to do the makeup thing, right? So, and I'm normally not self-conscious, but since Jolie started working there and she just randomly takes pictures of shit, and she does a good job because she knows what I don't like. But like, I wake up in the morning. I wake up in the morning at like 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, whatever, and I look in the mirror and I'm like, facial hair. That's what you got. That's what you. That's those are, and there's only like 2 options that fucking work. There's no other options for that. There's none.
Nope.
So, and I wasn't that aware of it until the other day. And I made the mistake, and I'm going to say this in a public forum, but it's still funny and I don't mind. I made the mistake of eating an edible. Okay. And it all hit at one time.
Oh, no. I hate it when that happens.
Yes. And I made the mistake of looking up cure videos. Like, so I was looking up interviews with Robert Smith. So I don't know if anyone has told Robert Smith this or not, but he's fucking melting. And I don't want to be that guy in 30 years. Robert Smith is melting.
Did you take acid or edibles? Like,
no, even sober, he's melting. No one has told him, but he's melting.
It is bad.
Wait, who is it?
Robert Smith from The Cure.
Robert Smith.
Look up like 2020 Robert Smith. It's bad. I was telling Kim, Alan's wife, that
oh God,
he reminds me of like a drag queen nanny, because like there's just something about that white powdered chin that screams Mrs. Doubtfire. Like it's just
no, he's the dude that
there you go. That's so fucking terrible.
Edward Scissorhands met a drag queen and they had a baby. Like what?
He's had that same look since he was like skinny and God, it's so bad, you guys.
He's a dude that back in the day when you were
running down his chin.
He's the dude that back in the day when you were in high school and you wanted to buy weed and nobody had it locally, you went somewhere that you shouldn't have went, and that's the dude that you bought weed from. Except that dude always had fake nails like that long and could roll a joint with one hand.
I always he's aging like milk.
He's aging like milk.
That shit made me laugh out loud. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
Oh, that's
he's aging like milk.
Wow. Oh boy.
It's pretty bad. Okay.
All right. Playlist. Sorry. Okay.
That's
so Abby added our playlist on if anyone's joining on Facebook comments, right now. Yeah, in the comments section. We have like 20 songs here, but I feel like we should highlight a few.
Let's just list them.
Now, the one thing I will say is once you highlight the few, eventually you have to sit down with Lee Sinclair and drink to them. That's the whole thing.
I love
the experience matches.
I love cemeteries, so I'm down. Like that's a weird. You learned something weird about Elena today, but I love cemeteries, so let's go to a cemetery and play. Yeah. We'll bring our jukebox, and
you're gonna take a whole ass jukebox to the cemetery.
Maybe some edibles, edibles jukebox. I'm just
put it in the back of the truck.
I'm in.
All right.
Okay, so now we know what we're doing next time we come to you guys.
Yeah. So next week, what are you doing? But anyway, no. So we picked a Hall & Oates, or not Hall & Oates. Hall & Oates song, a Hall & Oates song to start off. Yeah.
You make my dreams come true.
Yeah.
Ironically, Daryl Hall has had the Lee Sinclair and likes it.
Yes, he loves it.
I was going for the Oates tie-in, but this is even better.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Elena's playing some. And then our next one is Spicy by Ty Dolla $ign and Post Malone. And then we've got Giant with Rag and Bone Man, which if you guys haven't heard Rag and Bone Man, you have to listen to him. He sounds exactly opposite from what he looks, and he's amazing. But it's him and Calvin Harris, and it's just the best thing ever. He's like this big British guy and a lot of soul behind his sound, and it's amazing.
I love it.
And Calvin Harris never gets old.
Yeah, that's true.
It's beautiful face.
I don't know what the next song is. You picked that one.
Oh yeah. So it's I love electronic music. So it's this British DJ that I followed like 10 years ago. But the song's called Whiskey Story by Example. And I just love him.
What's the DJ?
Example. That's his name.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's a British DJ. But yeah. And it's just talking about like a fun night of drinking whiskey and having fun.
And then our biggest, coolest follower is next.
Yes.
We have Holiday Inn.
Shang-a-lang. Yes, because Lee Sinclair owned hotels, so we thought Holiday Inn was appropriate.
Love it.
It was funny when we were researching.
We
were researching like Lee, and we were like things that were coming to mind as we were just like throwing out music lyrics and like names of songs as we were reading about him.
So great. And then the next is Don't You Want Me by the Human League.
Yes.
Yeah,
Nice.
that was a good one. We liked that. And
I
then
love that
next we have the amazing Rick Astley with "Never Gonna Give You Up."
Yes.
We just got fucking Rickrolled, Jolie. What are you guessing about?
You know what? I just tell you, my son fucking Rickrolls me all the goddamn time. All the time. He said, you know what you should do, Mom? There is a Chrome extension app that checks every single website you open to make sure you're not going to be Rickrolled before you get into the website. I'm like, I'm not that worried about it, but he's like,
I have to say that it's a good choice for the playlist, but I do also have to say congratulations on trolling the trolls. That was fantastic.
Yeah, that's amazing. Also, he was my jam. Also, redhead. So
is he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
this
he
is
was a
a
redhead.
beautiful, beautiful photo. Hold on, here. This.
Look at him.
Yeah.
And he
That's
had that
great.
like little 80s fucking dance going on.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So then we get
down.
into the smooth and slow portion of the playlist, like, you know, the taste and working
Okay.
on the finish kind of thing. We have Carmel by City High and Eve, which is a great
Nice.
song. If you've never listened, highly recommend. And then we roll into, what is this next one? It's Vanilla by Sebastian Paul. That's another kind of like slow electronic thing.
Yeah, I started Googling
We pulled in the
words.
vanilla for the flavor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was gonna
nice.
be. We were gonna do Vanilla Ice, but then we're like, you know, and then this song came up, and Abby's like, "Oh, I like this." I was like, "Yeah, I do too." And so here we are.
And this
It's
is
awesome.
the next song is well fitting because, you know, apparently Lee Sinclair is a spirit wandering around town and opening doors. So we have Free Spirit by Khalid.
Nice.
It's a good one.
Yeah. And then we have, what's this next one?
Is it
by
Hozier? Yeah.
We were
We looked up the word Hoosier, yeah, but then that came
but
up. and then,
Elena pulled up Hozier. It was like, oh look, Hoosier, and it's like, well, it's kind of the same.
Yeah, it's actually
with an
It
accent.
is in St. Louis.
the etymology of those two words is actually almost exactly the same.
Really?
So, yeah,
Okay, so then Elena did a good job.
yeah.
See, I know the English
Good job,
language.
Elena.
Never. I literally say all the time that
prefix for Hoosier is Hosier.
yeah. I say all the time, I'm like, English is not my first language. Like, I'm pretty sure I was a foreign exchange student in a past life, so I apologize. Like,
You can convince anybody that you're the smartest person in the world with things like that, as long as you start the sentence that you follow up with well, actually.
Gotta have that snooty little roll to it.
Right.
Oh my God.
we added Mace. We brought some, like, I think 1990s to the mix. Feels so good because we're getting into into the drinking portion of the activity.
Mm-hmm.
Had some Def Leppard, Pour Some Sugar on Me.
That can be for you, Kent. That can be for Kent Mace, who's listening right now.
Uh-huh.
That song's for you, Kent.
We got Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe.
Nice.
Yes! Fuck yes!
Yeah.
Right.
Fuck yes! Amazing.
Like I said, we were all over the place.
And then we were dancing to it. You know, it was a whole,
yes,
of
thing. Course.
So we still have it on Bourbon and Blonde's Instagram page. So if you want to see me dry humping the air, enjoy that.
Hang on.
This evening.
It's in our Instagram story.
Let me just grab that really
it was like a hard
Bourbon
attempt at a WAP
and
video
Blonde.
and
Just failed so hard.
Yeah. I was like,
Awesome.
no, actually, when I got down low, I was like, girlfriend used to be able to drop it down into the clubs. But I have not
But
clubbed
not
in
anymore.
no, I have not clubbed in 84 years. And when I got low, I was like, oh, goddamn, my legs are tight. I was like, I can't. What is going on right now? I can't even
Stretch.
Oh my God,
even
you guys, this
separate.
is amazing.
Our Instagram story last night was out of control. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh, the hair. I forgot about the
There
hair.
you are. Your hair flipping.
I'm just gonna go ahead and call it and tell you guys that this is my favorite podcast that I've ever been on.
Look at that shit.
Fucking best.
We gotta wait for the end for the leg to go up. Yeah, we gotta
on the coffee table.
Yeah, we got.
There
There
it
we go. Yeah.
So, interestingly enough, I do that same move when I have a leg cramp.
Oh shit! All right, that's good. Yeah, getting tight legs at the end of the night. You just,
God.
So we will end our playlist on So Fifth Harmony, Worth It, because it was worth it to drink it. We did because we had some Irish background. I pulled Galway Girl is my favorite Irish song by I guess it's Steve Early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that song that was on what is it, P.S. I Love You, that movie, but I have my own P.S. I Love You. I'm gonna tell my story real quick. I was in.
We still have 2 other playlists to get through, Elena.
I'm gonna tell it really quick. So I was in Ireland, and there was a man, beautiful man, that was playing music. It was very P.S. I Love You, and he dedicated a American Girl song to me while I was sitting there listening to
Amazing.
him. Oh, it was magical. Fast forward, he's like, come to my show later, blah, blah, blah. So I ended up meeting friends. I missed his show, and I'm sitting there sad, emotional, eating my French fries on the stoop of this church because I missed his show. And I even ran to the venue, and I tried to open the doors, and the doors were locked. And I was like,
you really missed it.
Oh yeah. And I was like, I'm gonna go emotional, eat my French fries, go, So I'm eating my fries on the stoops of the stair at midnight, and he fucking walks by with his guitar, and he's like, Elena, and I was like,
hello, hot Irish man. Let's go make out now.
Yes, and that is the end of the story.
Yes, right. Yes. God damn, I wish you ladies lived closer.
It's not that far.
I know. We'll make it. We have to make a date night for sure.
Yeah, we do.
And then
but
we end with Lost River because
I'll air hump your living room.
You guys are on near Lost River, Nitty Gritty Band. I used to jam out to Nitty Gritty Band. I think they made a song about Winnie the Pooh when I was a kid, and I know it's weird, but there was a CD, that and Footloose, for anyone that knows me. I used to, as a child, dance to that in the basement of my parents' house, and then
also have your leg up on tables at that point.
Probably.
For what it's worth,
Maybe.
me, my father, and the shit pumper guy actually smoked weed to that song before. So good choice.
Oh, nice!
It applies
It comes full circle to the shit pumper guy.
Right, back around.
Oh god,
It's amazing.
it's great. And then our last song is naturally how do you feel after a night of drinking? What good can drinking do? By Carolyn Wonderland.
Nice.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's very
It's a very well thought out playlist.
It is.
You guys
also,
did your research according to your Instagram story. I love that.
yes.
Lots of research.
It was lots of research.
And then naturally, we finished making the playlist, published it, and all of that, and turned on Wilson Phillips, and we're just we put the Snapchat filter with the giant mouths on it, and we were recording ourselves dancing and singing the Wilson Phillips song. That is our most recent Instagram post, if you're curious. It's awful.
So, Saturday evening, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna drink through Lisa and Claire to your playlist and Jolie's playlist as well, just for fun. So
just see what happens.
I love it.
I like this.
There you go.
Okay,
Right,
who's
it my
next?
turn now?
Who's up?
all right, Big Red.
Okay. So it starts off with Ani DeFranco, Joyful Girl.
Ooh.
And I jotted down the little lyrics. So the very first lyric is I do it for the joy it brings because I'm a joyful girl, because the world owes me nothing and we owe each other the world.
Ooh.
I do it, it's the least I can do. I learned it from you. I do it just because I want to. So I thought that was, I'd start off with who I am, and I am a joyful girl.
I love it.
So
That's
then
awesome.
number 2 is One Headlight by the Wallflowers.
Fantastic.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, come on, try a little. Nothing is forever. There's got to be something better than in the middle. Me and Cinderella. That's Alan. We put it all together. We can drive it home with one headlight, and that's like just me trying to figure it out. Like, just hanging on for my dear life. Like, I don't know dick about bourbon. I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
Then number 3, Billy Joel. I go to extremes. And if I stand or I fall, it's all or nothing at all. Too high or too low, there ain't no in between. I don't know why I go to extremes. So when I get into something, I'm like fucking all in. I get obsessed. I do research. And so that was when it was like, all right, I'm all in. I'm going to make a fucking the Testarossa Instagram page. Like, it's all into this. And then getting a little further into the bourbon industry, and you kind of figure out about like backstabbing and just kind of like the underbelly of the bourbon industry. So it's another Ani DeFranco song called Anticipate.
Nice.
We lost sight of everything when we have to keep checking our backs. I think we should all just smile, come clean, and relax. Because someone you don't know is someone you don't know. Get a firm grip, girl, before you let go. For every hand extended, another lies in wait. Keep your eye on that one. Anticipate.
Nice.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Then, right? That's my favorite lyric. Keep your eye on that one. Then Anderson .Paak, Come Down. You talking all that shit. Now come on, you're gonna have to back it up. If I get too high now, sugar, come on. You might never come down. Never let me get down. That's just the groove of doing well and having fun and enjoying what I do.
Nice.
White Stripes, 7 Nation Army.
Nice.
Don't want to hear about it. Every single one's got a story to tell. Everyone knows about it. And that kind of reminds me of like bourbon stories. Like, people tell the same fucking stupid shit all the time. And then the next one reminds me of Alan. And if I catch it coming back my way, I'm going to serve it to you. And that ain't what you want to hear, but that's what I'll do. That always reminds me of Alan, because Alan doesn't take anyone's shit. And I respect that.
Thank you.
Next one is this is the last one. No, second to the last one. Mamas and the Papas, Go Where You Want to Go. You got to go where you want to go, do what you want to do with whoever you want to do it with. And that's very much like, I always say, hashtag we blaze our own trails.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
We try very hard. I try very hard, and I know Alan does too. Not like I pay attention to what other people do, but I try as many bourbons as I can get my hands on. But I try very hard not to pay attention to what other people are doing with their marketing. I try really hard just to do what we're doing. Like, a lot of times it's really just what we're fucking around with, what we're doing. And we're like, fuck yeah, we're going to put that on Instagram tomorrow. And that's, how we roll with it.
Awesome.
And I wrapped it up with another Ani DeFranco song, Back, Back, Back. And there's a little bit, it's a little long, but I'm going to read it because it's just kind of how I feel about my job and also just being a human in general. Every day is a door leading back to the core. Yes, old age will distill you. And if you're this, full of bitterness now, someday it will just fill you. When you sit right down in the middle of yourself, you're going to want to have a comfortable chair. So renovate your soul before you get too old, because you're going to be housebound there. When you're old, you fold up like an envelope and you mail yourself right inside. There's nowhere to go except out real slow. And are you ready, boy, for that ride? Your arrogance is gaining on you, and so is eternity. So you better practice happiness, and you better practice humility. You took the air, you took the time, you were fed and you were free. Now you better put some beauty back while you've got the energy.
I love that.
I like it. Yeah.
So I just feel like that's part of our responsibility. Like, yes, we make alcohol, but I think it should always be more than that. And we always say, I don't want this bottle to sit on a shelf. I want you to drink it and I want you to enjoy it. And that's part of like putting beauty back into the world and how you feel about it, and that the product isn't just a fucking commodity. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people look at things like that, and I know Alan doesn't, and I definitely don't, and that's part of why I think we work so well together.
Yeah. I love it. It's a great list.
Excellent playlist. Both of them were.
Wait, Steve said
Steve is our favorite.
Amazing.
I'm a deep girl, Steve. I'm a deep girl.
He has a bourbon and cigar podcast out in Ohio.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Yeah. He's good people. That's funny.
Yep.
Shit got deep. Sure did.
This is
did.
cool because it kind of highlights a couple different kinds of playlists, right? So like when I did the Maddie playlist, it was more or less like how maybe she might see the world if she lived in modern times, like music she might have listened to, right?
Yeah.
But when I did Lee Sinclair, I got to do something that I thought was kind of cool, and it's a little self-absorbed in some ways, but sort of biographical, basically, right? Just same as Jolie's.
Yeah.
So, are you familiar with the film High Fidelity?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know when Jack Black walks in and he's talking to John Cusack and he says, "What are you doing?" "I'm organizing my record collection." "You doing it alphabetically, chronologically?" "No, biographically."
Nice.
So that's what I went with on this. So this is,
right.
Since Sinclair's my oldest mash bill, this goes through kind of like 3 unique phases, from like where I'm from to the first distillery I worked at Copper and Kings to where I am now at Spirits of French Lick. Actually 4 phases, but and all these are songs that I would think that anybody that grew up, most people that grew up throughout the 90s and 2000s probably would know most of these, is my guess. So the initial song is the Meat Puppets Backwater. So I'm from Pekin, Indiana, little nowhere town in the middle of nowhere. So starts off with lyrics, "Some things will never change. I just stand there looking backwards, half unconscious of the change." So that fit that situation exactly perfect. And then I went Soundgarden. So I had to go with a little Chris Cornell because I love Chris Cornell. Yeah. And most of my early memories are associated with music. So for me, growing up distilling and growing tobacco, we always had a radio out in the shed where we were distilling, or out on the farm, whatever. And that's one of the songs that I constantly remember playing. And for me as a teenager, distilling and raising tobacco was just a burden. That's all it really was. You know, I wanted to get away from that. It wasn't something I was really interested in. So that song really fit that motif really well. From there, I went to Days of the New, Shelf in the Room. So this is kind of more like after I figured out how to distill and that sort of stuff, and like, what the hell are you going to do with your life? What's the one thing that's like holding you here? So much like that song, in the song, the whole thing is that he basically has this shelf in the room that has these little objects on it that he's collected over the years. And they may not mean shit to anybody else, but they mean something to him. And it's his one place that he can go to ground himself and, you know, basically say, this is what the only thing that's really holding me here right now is this shelf. So some lyrics are basically, "The key is so distant. I've opened doors. Know when to listen. Know what to listen for. The shelf in the room has been the way of holding me and letting me stay. Kick me out. Let me go. I don't belong here no more. A releasing sense of getting tired. Hold myself. I can't hold myself. The shelf in the room has been so true. I can't hide in the shelf in the room." So it's basically a reflection of himself. So
yeah,
awesome.
And that kind of matches up with my sort of previous career playing music and everything, and then living in Louisville for basically 2 years and figuring out that shit was not going to work for me. So yeah. Right. So then we go straight to the Copper and King stuff, and I'm going to get a little snide here because I can, and because they just got bought out by Constellation. So I feel less bad about saying things that are truthful. So the next one is Morrissey. "We hate it when our friends become successful." And that's all about getting a chance to actually do something cool, working with somebody that you think is your friend. Again, going back to Jolie's thing about backstabbers in the distilling world, and working with someone who was very much a backstabber and couldn't stand it when someone got one over on him. And so one of my favorite lyrics in that entire thing is that the gentleman I'm speaking of was originally from Kentucky and I'm from Indiana. And so not only are the lyrics, "We hate it when our friends become successful," are in there, but when they're from the North, it's even worse. So I'm from the wrong side of the river. and he was from Kentucky. So you can imagine how that went down.
Very smoothly, I would assume.
Yes. Yes.
Like butter.
Right. So
probably
the
like a
next one,
creamy mouthfeel, huh?
That's right.
Very much. Oh, God.
Aged like milk.
Oh, jeez.
So the next one is very much Copper and Kings related as well. So I thought I'd made it, right? I got hired on at a distillery, never thought I'd get a job at a distillery. This is gonna be cool as hell, and it turned out not to be as cool as I think it is. So Weezer, Say It Ain't So, all the way down to
Sorry.
I had dude, you're good. I had a beagle dog. I had a beagle dog named Jimmy at the time, so that lyric is actually pretty apropos. So, and I certainly drank my fair share of Heinekens from someone else's cooler. So, yeah,
that was a good garage band when we used to play Wii Garage Band. That was one
there
of
are very few songs that can come on somewhere like a bar or something. Maybe 5 songs in the history of the world that everyone in a bar, regardless of their background, knows the lyrics to, and that is
usually
one of
Journey.
those songs. Yeah,
but yeah.
Sublime.
The other one's every Journey song.
Yes, Sublime.
Whitney Houston.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the next one is actually what I kind of think of, kind of my personal theme. So it took me a little while to figure out that Copper and Kings wasn't going to work for me, and it was a little daunting to quit that job and not know that I had necessarily anything lined up for sure, because I was not for sure hired at Spirits of French Lick yet, right? But I was fucking done, and I knew I was done, and I had resolved myself, like, if I quit and I don't get a job in the distilling industry, that's fine. I will go work at Walmart. I'll be a fucking greeter, whatever. I'm not working for this fucking place anymore. So a band out of Canada that does not get nearly enough attention. Meanwhile, Nickelback stole all the fucking attention, and I still consider that an act of war on the United States that Nickelback became famous here.
I mean, I can't really disagree.
No one can. No one can disagree with that.
And
even if they like Nickelback, they can't disagree.
If 2020 was a band, it would be Nickelback.
I will even throw this in there. So you had Def Leppard on your playlist earlier, right? All Nickelback is a far less talented modern version of Def Leppard. That's all that band ever was. But
interesting.
Our Lady
With all
Peace.
their arms.
Yes, Our Lady Peace, One Man Army. So that was literally the song. Like, I had to listen to it before I went and quit. I remember literally putting my headphones in, walking across the production floor, going to the elevator, listening to it on the way up the elevator, and listening to it all the way to the boss's office. And then I listened to it whenever I quit and walked out. So
nice.
From there, then you get into the Spirits of French Lick stuff and actually getting hired. So Queens of the Stone Age, I think I lost my headache from their first album, Rated R. So one of my favorite songs of all time. The live version's even better. So you get hired on at this new place, and hey, here's your blank slate, and here's your opportunity, and you're going to do your thing, and people are going to pay attention to it, and it's going to be good, and it's going to work out. Things are rarely that black and white, right? So first few releases that come out, and before Jolie comes in particular, and legitimately, there was a period of time where I nearly had quit Spirits of French Lick before Jolie came there. So if she wasn't there, I probably would have already have basically walked out. But there was a period of time with Spirits of French Lick where the theme song was very much Jimmy Eat World, the middle. So the whole
nice. I like it.
The whole song itself is pretty representative of, I think, something that people go through. And it's actually a song. It's actually a song that when my daughter's a teenager, it's one that I'll introduce her to because I think it fits. So, the whole don't write yourself off yet. It's only in your head you feel left out or looked down on. Just try your best. Try everything you can. And don't you worry what they tell themselves when you're away. So just take some time, little girl. You're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be all right.
It's a great song.
I love that song.
There was certainly a period of time where it felt very much like that at Spirits of French Lick. Like, hey, we're doing our thing, but nobody is necessarily taking it seriously. And all the way even up to the 2-year-old Lee Sinclair. Like, it was cool to get that out there, but it was 2 years old. So nobody was going to take that seriously. That was anybody in the industry.
Too young.
Yeah, exactly. and some misinformation about pot still distillation as well versus what they're used to. So, but then once you get past that point, then it's full on, right? So now we're going straight on into we've got Jolie on hand, and she's backing everything up and doing what she does, and she's brought the whole package to the entire thing. And I've also started to become a lot more confident in myself, and I've realized that maybe even to some extent the people that I look up to don't know as much as I've given them credit for. So from here we go a little bit more occult, and there's only 2 more songs, but I think they fit perfectly where we're headed, and I think they fit perfectly the story of Lee Sinclair. So the very first one is Black Sabbath Into the Void. And the whole idea of that is just, if you're stuck in the middle and you can't get people to pay attention to what you're doing, go completely into yourself and just buy into yourself, and they'll either believe your bullshit or they'll call you on it, one of the two. But there's no in between, right? It's a risk it all or nothing sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so that leads to the very last song on here, which is exactly what Spirits of French Lick is about, in my opinion. And it's sort of twofold, both with the spirits of the local place and the spirits in the bottle. Sort of that kind of occult leaning. There's some amount of inspiration coming from the outside thing, as well as the fact that we don't really fucking care what anybody thinks about us. We just do what we do. So Led Zeppelin, No Quarter is where we end at.
Oh, can we freeze Jolie's face on this?
She dropped that hand real fucking quick.
Yeah. That's a good. You guys, I like your playlist. I mean,
I love that.
Type them up and email it to us so that I can do the same thing Alan does and listen to them while I drink.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll put them on
it.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That's what I do when I drink. I'd listen to music, and I try to figure out.
See why we work so well together, right? We just overanalyze the shit out of things.
Everything.
I'm like,
and I just get drunk and see what happens.
Yeah, we're just like, this is
and
an
that's
experiment.
why you work so well together.
Yeah. I used to overanalyze everything, and it's just analysis paralysis, and then nothing.
Yeah.
No,
so this
is not the year to do that.
That was definitely happening to me last night.
This is where the weird shit in my head goes, though, just for fun, that I think you guys will like and get a kick out of. So we are doing another version of Lee Sinclair. So it's called Lillian Sinclair. It's named after his daughter. So the difference is that we switched out the wheat for rye, and then we used a yeast that we actually caught from St. Louis.
Yeah.
So it came from why am I blanking on it? I can't think of the name of the brewery.
Beer?
Earthbound, yes.
Earthbound.
Oh,
yeah, so it came from the Lagrin Caves underneath Earthbound.
Nice.
And there's already, even though I have no idea what that's going to taste like coming out of the barrel in a couple of years, there's already a playlist for that, and it's one artist and one artist only, and it is the Tori Amos covers album, where she does everything from the male perspective, or from the female perspective. So we were gonna
add Tori Amos to this playlist. I can't remember which song it was, but
you can add Tori Amos to anything, and it makes it better.
Yeah,
you're right.
So we're located in an old Kimball Piano Factory building, and she actually was on site purchasing a piano in our building, like when it was a piano factory building.
That's wild.
That's amazing. My sister,
she was my my teenage crush, and the thing I used to tell people about it is, like, if you ever had a chance, I wouldn't have had to have done anything with her. Just like, I'll sit and you play piano and sing, and I'll be happy.
Right.
It's all good.
Speaking of that leg, right? Like when she plays the piano and her one leg is like fucking like
that maneuver between the piano and the Walrusser that she has going on, where she's halfway.
Yeah, and she's her playing a piano for her is like a full body fucking sport. It's amazing.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Musicians just get me because I just
especially piano. I
am not musically inclined at all.
And the other
piano, and it's just like amazing. I don't know, piano gets me every time. It just watching anyone. It's
the other music campaign that we're going to do eventually, and I haven't even told Jolie this. This is the worldwide announcement post Alan Bishop Day.
Oh,
so our
a lot of worldwide
bourbon,
events.
Right?
So many.
5, 6, whatever. They'll tell friends. It'll be okay. It'll get there eventually. So when we come out with our heirloom bourbon, that heirloom bourbon is made from a corn named after Amanda Palmer from the Dresden Dolls. Obviously, also her own career. And when that rolls out, we are just going to tag the shit out of Amanda Palmer on all social media because she knows it exists already. She's liked several posts on Instagram in the past and things of that nature. So there will be a Dresden Dolls driven and Amanda Palmer driven playlist for that.
I like this.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. You guys,
we
I'm
think
proud
about
of
our
us.
shit. I know, right, you guys? I'm
It's
proud
good.
too.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Good.
It is awesome. This was a good idea.
This was so I had a question that kept coming to mind, Alan. I want to ask, so I feel like having this you know, how you wanted to create the bourbon so early on, was it hard to attach that recipe to a person? Because I feel like that's so personal to have created
So
that as your
specific.
first as your first recipe. So was it harder when you saw Lee Sinclair, you're like, oh, this makes sense. This absolutely makes sense. Or was it a process?
So it depends on the character, but Lee Sinclair in particular is kind of interesting. And another one of those things that I don't think I've ever told Jolie. So I kind of knew that mash bill was going to be called Lee Sinclair one way or the other. And it was kind of built into negotiations when I got hired at Spirits of French Lick. But the reason it was going to be called Lee Sinclair was because of everything I mentioned before, but also when I was moonshining or home distilling, whatever you want to call it, we actually used to make labels, and that same recipe was called Lee Sinclair when we were selling it illicitly. So it's not as hard there. It's a little more difficult maybe because I don't necessarily own anything at Spirits of French Lick. So there's a little bit of trust on my behalf to like hand that trademark over to somebody and trust that they're going to do the right things now and in the future, etc. with it. That's a little odd in some ways. But not all of them are thought out like that. Like Maddie Gladden, I knew I wanted to use her name, but I didn't necessarily know what whiskey it would be for. I just knew that it had to be something that would. So I wanted her whiskey to be more like you could put her whiskey on the line and have her name on the bottle and put it up against any of the big quote unquote male names in the industry. And it still kind of hold the line with those guys. So if that had been the buckwheat bourbon, her name would have been on buckwheat bourbon. If that had been the rye whiskey, her name would have been on the rye whiskey. So sometimes it's there, sometimes it isn't. With the William Dalton, for example, which is the wheated bourbon we've not released yet, I knew that we would use his name for the wheated eventually because other than apple brandy, that was the main thing that he made. Here in Southern Indiana, wheated bourbon was kind of a big deal. And we're the exact opposite of Kentucky, interestingly enough. So in Kentucky, they'd say they made rye bourbon because they wanted to save the wheat to eat on. Well, in Southern Indiana, most of the people were from the Black Forest of Germany, and they loved rye bread. So they would, and rye doesn't grow well here. So they'd save their rye to actually eat bread with, and they would take their wheat and turn that into the whiskey. So some of them match up, some of them don't necessarily. It just depends on what it is. With Solomon Scott, which is he was the owner of the Daisy Spring Distillery and the Scott McCoy Distillery. We're naming our rye whiskey after him. That doesn't necessarily have any historical context, but he was a very bold gentleman to the extent that he literally quit the legal distilling industry because he saw prohibition coming and he decided that he could make more money on the illicit side. And during the Spanish flu, he actually went from house to house in Stampers Creek Township, taking whiskey that was infused with different botanicals, etc., to help people. And to this day, families still thank him for that, more or less, that they're still alive because of him. So it's not so much that he made any rye whiskey in his lifetime. It was more that he was kind of big, bold, didn't really care what anybody thought of him, basically gave the finger to the industry and walked away from it and did his own thing, and probably made as much money, if not more money, on the illicit side as he ever did on the illegal side or on the legal side. So it just depends on the character. All of them, truthfully, between the people listening to this and you on here, all of them are honestly a little hard to let go of because all of them are people that I've, in a lot of ways, with the exception of Maddie Gladden, most of them are people that I've almost exclusively kind of studied for a long time. And so there's a weird kind of release, I guess, that happens when you get to name something after them. And then it also extends into the playlist and kind of carrying their spirit through that,
You're
and
a little
keeping them
protective
alive
of
through
them.
that. A little bit, yes, for sure. And there are, the other interesting thing too, and Jolie knows this, there are names that are still very close to my heart that I've not let go of yet, and I'm not sure that I will. So just takes time to get there and the right product. So can't just throw a random name on a product, because for us it's not that. That name is very important to the particular product. It's very important to the spirit of that particular product and the influence of that product. And all the way down to, and I know this is a little odd and new agey, but all the way down to the way that product makes the person who's consuming it feel at the end of the day. Yeah. So those things are all very important on my end of things.
For me, I think it impacts the consumer because you can taste that. And the Lee Sinclair and the Maddie Gladden, the product is exactly what you want it to be.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I experience exactly what you're talking about when I'm drinking it and thinking about it and researching it and all of that.
I think that when you attach these people to it, and I know this is true for Alan, and it has become true for me, that it becomes personal, right? Like, you've done so much, you've talked about them so much, you've done so much research on them, we've put their faces on them, and I work with a friend of mine, the illustrator, and so go back and forth, no, what about if you add shading here, do this here, and so they become, it's just personal. And so then, and we always tell people, we want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you don't like it, I want to know it. What don't you like about it? What don't, I don't ever want anyone to feel like they have to be oh, this was good, or it's interesting.
Delicate in your feelings.
Tell the truth.
Yeah. Tell the truth. Be honest, because we're honest. And so,
and that's,
but sometimes, if somebody's honest, I'm don't talk about Maddie Gladden like that.
But that's what works with. That's why Spirits of French Lick works, and that's why it catches on to some extent too, I think, because Julie and I work so extremely well together on that stuff. So I have to bring the absolute best to the bottle that I can inside the bottle, and she has to represent that on the outside of the bottle. And to be honest with you, before she got there, that was not the case. It was not an equal thing. It didn't happen that way until she got there. And it's something that, if those people were alive, I would like to walk up to them and hand them a bottle and then not be like, what in the fuck is this?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. You wanted to honor
and
them.
There's kind of as a real quick aside too, on the whole thing that we do, there's an old spiritual concept that goes along with this as well, that crosses all kinds of cultural boundaries, even Christianity, etc. But the idea of libation, the word libation does not come from you drinking. It comes from pouring a drink for someone, because of the concept that there was no afterlife necessarily other than the underworld in Greece. And so there was no food there. There was no water there. There were no spirits there. There were no wine there. So you would go to the grave of the person and you would pour them a drink so they would have something to drink in the afterlife. And so there's some sort of, I guess, metaphysical representation that happens there for me. I don't know if it does obviously with Jolie or not, but and I think it probably does to some extent. But that's a big part of what we do. That's why we take those first 3 bottles that we make of everything that we make, if it's named after somebody, to the grave or to the place or to people who play those characters, whatever. Because they're,
or even with Fascination Street, right? Fascination Street is our newest single barrel. It's a barrel-aged absinthe, and we used Alan's friend Mark Williams. He's an artist, and he does screen printing and painting, and he creates these amazing textural paintings. And so we went through his artwork and we found one that we really just fucking dug, and we used it as the background. He came today and he signed all of the bottles on the rack, and he wound up, and all of them are numbered. We made sure that he got bottle number 1. That is, it's important. You have to show respect with these things, and I think that there's and again, we always say, not to knock the guys, but we can't compete with them. We're not going to get like an old school Wild Turkey fan. That's not who we're after. That's not what we're trying to do. We have to be completely different. We have to bring something different to the table. And that isn't just about the product. That's the entire process of it. Starting with the pot still, starting with, you know, who they're named after and what the labels look like, and, you know, the whole thing.
We want the crowd that's listening to WAP for fun, but also listening to Joy Division because they fucking get it.
Yes. Yes. When Alan found out that we both like Joy Division, we were like, what?
What just happened?
What?
The waveforms of
Joy Division is?
You guys, I love talking to you because it's you guys are so passionate about what Spirits of French Lick stands for and how you come up with what you sell and what you create, and it's very refreshing, and I love it.
Thank you.
And it's so authentic too. I love to be amongst people who can drop the F-bomb on occasion and just be like so
down
real and yes, and just be
down with the WAP, Alan.
I know. It's like just
like I'm ignoring all of you.
Right?
Just macaroni in a pot.
Just stirring it up.
Put it in your mouth.
We'll get to the remade lyrics later. That's gonna be gonna be the After Dark version.
It makes me think of that scene in Lost Boys where he's like, "What are you eating, Michael?" He's eating Chinese food, but it looks like maggots.
Oh,
right?
I can't
deal with it.
No.
Can't
you know
deal
that
with
I'm very hungover. I can't talk about things like this right now.
She's gonna have a redo of Zoom meetings.
Like
I think that part of what's so great about working in a small craft distillery is that we don't have a huge corporation that we have to represent as far as that goes. What's in the bottle is us, and so we represent us, and by representing ourselves, we represent what's in the bottle. We don't have a huge marketing budget. We have us.
Yeah,
that's what we have. You know, I've got a marketing budget, and I got to split it right down the middle. It goes towards half goes towards French Lick Winery, and half goes towards Spirits of French Lick. And so what you have to do with that money goes towards, you know, ads and your, you know, magazines and, you know, things like that. Other than that, it's sharing your product, getting on, you know, talking with people.
That also makes National Alan Bishop Day very, very valuable to Spirits of French Lick. It also makes my drunken Facebook rants incredibly valuable.
It's just, you know, we're just real people, and we will have conversations with people on Facebook and on Instagram. Like, as long as, I always say this, like, as long as you're not emailing me like, "Hey, beautiful," I'll have a fucking conversation with you.
Right.
You know, I mean, if you want to talk like, "Hey, what about this whiskey?" or "What about this?" or "What do you do that?" You know, I mean, I will, and I've shared whiskey with people I never thought I would share whiskey with. And not because we talked whiskey, but because we just got on and started having a conversation about something. And then 3 months later, I'm like, "Dude, do you drink bourbon?" "Yeah." "Okay, I'm going to send you a bottle. Let me know what you think." And then, you know, all of a sudden you have this relationship, and now you're sharing something else with it too. Like, it's got to be about the one-on-one. It's got to be about the people. And that's how I make connections. That's how we sell barrels. That's how, you know, it's all about communication and connections.
Yeah. I mean, it is, and that's the greatest part about this. And
because, I mean, what do you do when you pour, like, I mean, even you, the two of you, you know, you poured this whiskey and you fucking shared some champagne, you shared some wine, you drank this,
and Elena's twerking on my coffee table.
And she's, humping the air and lifting up her leg. But you guys had a fantastic time, and it revolved around what you were drinking, and it was about your relationship and your communication and having a great time. And that's what it should all be about.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can't just be a commodity in a bottle that looks pretty on the shelf.
Nope.
It should look pretty on the shelf, and it should be, you know, something that you can make money off of, but it should go well beyond that.
Oh yeah.
Also, one last quick comment for me. we don't take ourselves very seriously, if you haven't noticed. So although there are serious things in what we do, we're not curing fucking cancer over here, right? We're making liquor, and as long as it's good and it makes you feel good and you like it, that's all that really matters.
We're gonna have a good time. Yeah, we're gonna have a good time.
That's why I think Elena and I do this, is like our friendship started when we were drinking whiskey and bourbon, and it's grown that way. And I've gotten to know friends and family so much better when you sit down and you pour something that you can sip on, and that conversation just starts, and you never know where it's going to go. And it's, that's why I like it.
It's like when your septic tank guy pulls up and he's like, nobody expects a drunk in the work truck.
I don't think there's a better way to end this. No
one expects a drunk in a shit truck.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
No truer statement, I think.
Yeah.
You could probably also move a body in a shit truck.
True.
Okay, we just
I don't think anyone's
went
gonna.
dark a little.
Sorry, I'm
We're
sorry.
going real Halloween.
Shit got deep one more time.
The last of the last, I'll say this: the gentleman who took over the shit business, he's doing extremely well. He lives down the road from me. But here's the best part of the whole thing: his truck. He no longer has a white truck with a blue tank on it. He now has a white truck with a blue tank that is painted to look like an Atlantic Ocean underwater scene. So at least when you have the foul smell, you can look at the pretty clownfish. And, you know.
Is that Nemo?
I love it. Is that a metaphor for us?
No, that's legitimately, he drives down the highway. I'll take a picture of it.
Oh my God.
That can be the picture for your playlist.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that.
Right?
That's so funny.
Some things will never change.
Like the shit truck being down the street from you.
Yep.
It is what it is. This is real life, ladies.
Welcome.
Welcome. And scene.
Right. Well, you guys are great. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We loved it. We love the playlist. We love the bourbon. We love you.
We'll send you our playlists, and you can upload them, and then maybe we can all jam on Instagram together.
Yes.
Hell yeah. I like that. I like it. You guys, my coffee table is plenty large.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I can twerk. I can share the twerking space with everyone else.
Then we can help each other up afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, God.
So, cool life. Is there an ambulance in front of Abby's apartment? I don't know what happened.
Well, I am 4 blocks from the hospital, so I think we're covered.
Alan ate 30 hot wings and tried the front twerk with his beer belly, and he died of a heart attack in my living room.
He fell through Abby's.
Yes.
He fell through Abby's coffee table.
It's okay. We take edibles, and we're like, I don't know, we haven't seen them for 5 years. You're out wandering the fucking
10 minutes.
Whiskey forest.
Ground clear. Where are we? Where are they? We don't know.
It's happening right now. Does this weird bump look cancerous to you? Do I need to go to the hospital right now? Because I feel like I do.
Oh,
you're just melting.
Apple. Yeah.
You're just melting. You and Robert Smith. You and Robert Smith.
Oh, God. All right, guys.
Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have yourselves a good night.
Awesome.
You need not do
Have
that.
yourselves a good night. I swear to God. It's my life.
God damn it.
It's my fucking life.
God damn